Can Colorado win without Darcy Kemper? Yeah, they can. But I don't think it's as easy as that. I think there's a narrative going around that Darcy Kemper is kind of an average goalie, and Colorado can win with pretty much anybody in net. That's not really the case. This is the best team defenses last season. So this is shots against in blue and team combined save percentage in red. Carolina, obviously, very good at both. They were third in the league in save percentage, number one in shots against. That's where Colorado was the year before this. They were number one in the 2021 season. They gave up 1,423 shots that season, and they had a combined 907 save percentage. This last season, they were below average. This is average right here. They were below. So they gave up a little bit over 2,600 shots, but they had the fifth best combined save percentage. So this is showing us that they kind of got floated by goaltending a little bit. Goaltending and obviously their ridiculous offense. But they just brought over Alex Georgiev to be their number one. He had an .898 save percentage. If you look here at the goals against and save percentage combined metrics, Francouz, pretty good. He had a 2.6 goals against and a .916. That's what you want. In fact, those are probably better starter numbers than what you're going to get out of the guy that they just picked up, which is Alex Georgiev right here. He had, why did it do that? I have no idea why it just did that. But this is average. This line to the right, that's a little bit softer. So he's a little bit better than average in goals against, but significantly below average in save percentage. And the goals against is helped by the fact that the Rangers were all the way up here in shots against. So they were actually a pretty good defensive team. So it'll be interesting to see Georgiev come in on this team that's now giving up way more shots than the Rangers did. Maybe the workload is going to be a good thing for Georgiev. Maybe he's actually going to perform better as a starter, and I guess that's what Joe Sakic was banking on when he made that move. But the narrative seems to be that the Colorado Avalanche could have won with a cardboard cutout in net, and that just isn't the case. They actually had very good goaltending, and it kind of helped propel them to, I think they finished second overall in the league, but they were contending for the President's Trophy this year. So that's an interesting development to keep an eye on, especially if you're going into your fantasy draft this season. Can the Colorado Avalanche be that team that you normally look to for your G1? I would say no. I would say normally, last year Kemper went in the second or third round in most drafts, and he was actually, pretty solid draft pick. He didn't go too much further up the board. He kind of stayed where he was. He ended up in that 20 to 30 range at the end of the season, but that's probably not going to be the case with Georgiev. So one thing to keep an eye on is Francouz. Remember, over here, Francouz was way, way higher up on this board. This is Francouz. So he's way above average in save percentage and way above average in goals against average. Remember, goals against is 3 for the league average. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that, because if Georgiev stumbles out of the gate, Francouz might become the starter. So you may want to target him later in your draft or early on in the season, pick him up off the waiver wire, and you might be set up for the second half of the season pretty well if he ends up taking that job from Georgiev. And it'll also be interesting to see where Darcy Kemper ends up. This is the day before free agency that I'm recording this, and he's rumored to go to Washington. Washington has an excellent shot suppression number here. They're sixth best in the league, and they had below average goaltending, which is why they let go of Vanacek and they did not qualify Samsonov, because if they had above average goaltending, they probably would have made the playoffs. Look at Tampa Bay. They had significantly above average goaltending, and they actually gave up more shots than Washington, and they went to the Cup final. Now, obviously, that's Tampa Bay, a little bit different, but every one of these teams that was below average in save percentage and made the playoffs lost in the first round. LA, Washington, Vegas didn't make it. Toronto lost in the first round. None of these other teams with below average goaltending made the playoffs. So that's probably what they're thinking in Washington, trying to bring over Kemper, because he put up a .921 last year and a 2.6 goals against average. So again, just a couple of developments right before free agency that you want to keep an eye on. And obviously Colorado is going to be fine without having to pay Darcy Kemper what they were going to have to pay. But I don't think it's fair to say that they can win with anybody in net, because the last 2 seasons, their starting goaltenders have put up a .922 and a .921 save percentage. I think that's kind of the recipe that they need to be successful. So Georgiev better put up a 920 plus save percentage. Otherwise, you might want to head to the wire and pick up Francouz. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.